Please welcome Arami Walker.
Free. Free as the sunshine trickling down the morning into these high windows of mine. Free as yonder fresh voices welling up to me from caverns of brick and mortar below. Swelling with song, instinct with life. Tremulous treble and darkening bass. My children, my little children, are singing to the sunshine, and thus they sing. These words were written by W.E.B. Du Bois in 1903. Our words and literacy are more than a means to remember our people's history. They are pragmatic tools that build institutions and shape nations. Incantations that reverberate through the collective mind. A steady climb towards liberation, which began with a proclamation declaring the emancipation of the Black body and mind. In 1863, from the debris of slavery, we began unlearning the mentality of subservience and dumb dependence. Beginning our relentless pursuit of equal opportunity. The first generation of freed African Americans experienced extreme poverty. Their limited access to education led to the formation of chain gangs, which maintained generational cycles of crime and illiteracy. While they were not born in chains, these gangs fueled the expansion of the prison industry, a reimagined form of slavery under the guise of justice. 3 years after emancipation, there was a clear necessity to steer African Americans towards culture and education. In its infancy, Fisk University was an abandoned hospital building and a plot of land in Tennessee. Supported by the Freedmen's Bureau and the American Missionary Association, particularly a Mr. George White, a white Protestant man who shed a light on the potentiality of African American intellect and musicality. Inspired by the duality of despair and beauty within the sorrow songs of emancipated slaves, he transcribed their melancholy melodies and formed a choir named after the biblical year of Jubilee, a year in which debts are paid, slaves are set free, and land is provided for restoration. 4 Black men, Mr. Isaac Dickerson, Mr. Ben Holmes, Mr. Green Evans, and Mr. Thomas Rutling, and 5 Black women, Miss Ella Shepherd, Miss Maggie Porter, Miss Minnie Tate, Miss Jenny Jackson, and Miss Eliza Walker. 7 were formerly enslaved and 2 were born free. Together with Mr. George White, the Jubilee Singers toured the world with songs originally sang by slaves on plantations. Tired and undoubtedly traumatized, their unrelenting spirit of hope and powerful music became a global sensation. They were most likely hungry. They were most likely missing someone that they loved back home. But they knew in their heart that their music and their art would bring healing to the world. After 7 years, they raised $150,000 to fund Jubilee Hall, a learning environment constructed to cultivate intellectuals and leaders within the Black and brown community. The Black song became concrete, and from the ashes of humiliation and despair rose one of the first Black institutions of higher learning. And after 130 years, Fisk University and Jubilee Hall are still standing. And while $150,000 in 1871 was quite an achievement, this year Fisk University is taking a quantum leap, investing $1 billion into the continued advancement of African Americans and the divine power of hope that carried our voices and bodies through time. But while our access to financial investments in education are improving with each century, the contemporary problem we face is one of proximity. No longer is the chain gang limited to a small sector in Atlanta where 14-year-old Black boys can be trained by hardened criminals. These compelling narratives have become entertainment for the global population. And without education and critical thought, the cycle of oppression and crime observed shortly after emancipation can evolve into an infectious degradation of the collective human mind. Spaces of communion that develop the public's opinion have transcended physical space, such as schools, churches, and libraries. As we enter an era of mass media and global consciousness, we witness the immense impact of African American media on humanity. Our music has evolved from a 9-person gospel choir touring the world to raise money to build a university into a multi-billion-dollar media empire captivated by our sexuality, the violence within our community, and our resilience. The media's obsession with our sex, our violence, and our victimhood brings young people in proximity with a dangerous frequency, making it easy to lose sight of our capabilities and the stories of triumph within our communities. Particularly the genesis of African American music and its ability to heal our spirit and form institutions of continued advancement. Reconstructing our identity and psyche is having an understanding of our personal experience of Blackness, as well as the 250 years of atrocity experienced by our ancestral line. Healing requires us to redefine family, self-worth, and our personal impact on society. Your connection to the earth, your mother and father, and your ability to express your unique skills with your society. Protecting not only your body, but activating what Noam Chomsky refers to as intellectual self-defense. While it is easy to criticize gang violence and hypersexuality within the Black and brown community, the dog-eat-dog mentality or capitalist hierarchy fails to address the internalized self-hatred and emptiness resulting from the arch crime of genocide and slavery. The subsequent disconnect from humanity, the rights and rituals of respect for the earth that we traded for deeds and diamonds, unable to find alignment without reverence and love. A severance from Mother Earth and her cycles, water, and seeds. The isolation of capitalist greed creates a need to re-enslave marginalized youth, disguising Black truth as media from intentionally formed ghettos, highlighting violence and crime, entering the mind of youth, creating a cycle broken only by mutual healing and actual truth. The training of young people to see through the illusion. Du Bois argues it's a better use of time to focus on prevention rather than punishing hardened criminals. He graduated from Fisk in 1870 and began teaching throughout the South in makeshift classrooms and log cabins, encouraging advancement through culture and literacy, later becoming the first African American to receive a PhD from Harvard University. He toured the world with his lectures, emphasizing the importance of sociology, the understanding of society, and human connection. He criticized toxic and extreme capitalism, which can cause unnecessary enslavement of marginalized people and the unsustainable destruction of the earth. Advocating for Black intellectuals to understand their second consciousness in order to avoid being re-enslaved by debt and the prison system, as well as to avoid becoming a ruthless tyrant capable of enslaving other groups of marginalized people. With a focus on self-development and self-assertion within the African American community, Du Bois co-founded the NAACP, the National Association of the Advancement of Colored People, a form of participatory democracy that transcends merely voting, a system of organized advocacy and development which Toni Morrison cites as key to obtaining a source of self-regard, along with forgiveness. W.B. Du Bois lived until the age of 95, eventually returning his Black body and soul to rest in Africa. Today, his name and literature are remembered as a research and history institute at Harvard University, the same university where a young Barack Obama began his legal career. later becoming a civil rights attorney and the first African-American man to become the President of the United States. But before he was the first Black President of the United States, before he received the Nobel Peace Prize, before history placed his image in textbooks, his image was on a graphic t-shirt that I wore in grade school. A symbol of an American leader that looked like me. And on that shirt was one word, and that word was hope. The same hope that emancipated slaves, the same hope that ignited George White and the Jubilee singers, the same hope that guided the pen of Du Bois, and it's the same hope that we bring here today as we celebrate the opening of the Obama Presidential Center. As a beacon of hard work and dedication, we are the continuation of Black and brown leaders that transform society with words and institutions that have lasting, generational efficacy. My name is Arami Walker, and I am a writer, musician, and educator. And together with the Scholars Equity Network, we come together as a community of scholars dedicated to the continued advancement of women and people of color in higher education. With reverence to the Gates Foundation, the Obama family, and most importantly, the Black, Indigenous, and brown scholars graduating from high schools and university, our words and frequencies shape nations. And with elation, we find ourselves, each generation, more refined, more aligned, ready to seize what ought to be our legacy. Thank you.